Hi guys, so for this lesson I'm going to demonstrate an effective use of mirror EQ in a mixing context. So what is mirror EQ? Basically it's cutting one instrument to let the best part of another come through. This really helps with clarity and definition when mixing. For the first example I'm going to demonstrate mirror EQ on a bass and kick. Here I have a group of drums. But like I said, I'll be mainly focusing on the kick in this example. If we play the bass and kick together, we can hear that they are covering much of the same low frequency range. And if we look at the EQ that I've placed on each track, we can visually see what frequencies are being occupied by both instruments. Now, in order to have a clear mix where all instruments can be heard, space will need to be made. Basically, two sounds cannot occupy the same tonal frequency range and maintain clarity. If two sounds do occupy the same frequency range, the louder sound can mask or hide the quieter sound. And mixing is about crowd control, and space must be created for a sound to be heard. Often, when new to mixing, engineers may be inclined to boost the sound they want to hear first, but in almost all cases, it is a much better solution to take away or cut from one of the other frequency areas that are dominating the sound. For example, by cutting the bass instead of boosting the kick, I can get a better kick sound without adding destructive low end. So remember, start by subtracting first and then only add frequencies or boost as needed. I'll quickly explain the different components of an EQ, and then we can start treating our tracks. Frequency sets the frequency of the selected filter. Gain adjusts the amount of boost or attenuation to a selected filter. And the Q adjusts the resonance or bandwidth of a selected filter. And the different filter types are as follows. We have a low cut at 48 decibels per octave. Another low cut at 12 decibels per octave. We then have a low shelf, a bell, notch, a high shelf, and then a high cut at 12 decibels per octave, and another high cut of 48 decibels per octave. So when we talk about mirror EQ, we need to choose which sound we want to be more prominent. In this case, I want the kick to stand out more than the bass. We need to find the frequencies that both instruments occupy. This is known as the peak frequency, and then cut that on the bass. So on the EQ on my bass, I'll select band 1. I'll drag my frequency up to the area that my kick is occupying, somewhere around 50 Hz, and I'll select the bell filter. Now I'll drag the gain down, and you'll begin to hear that the bass and kick have more clarity. We can adjust the Q now. If I drag it all the way down, you can hear a drastic reduction in low end as the Q is too wide. So I'll bring it back up as I still want the bass to be punchy. Somewhere around 150 sounds good to me. I'll turn the EQ off, and we can hear that without the EQ, the two tracks together sound muddy. This change might seem minimal, but in the scale of a whole mix with multiple tracks, makes a huge difference. I'll now demonstrate a more obvious cut by using the mirror EQ technique on a bass and organ. So I have my bass in a nice place with a kick, but if I look at the EQ on my organ track, I can see that the organ occupies a lot of low end frequency range. As I have my bass covering this range, it is unnecessary to have my organ covering it too. So I will use a low cut filter to get rid of the organ's low end, which is muddying up the mix. I'll drag the frequency to around 250 Hz, so I don't have those really low frequencies passing through. Now if we listen to just the organ after the cuts have been made, it sounds rather bright and soulless. But it is important to remember to always take into consideration how tracks sound together and not in isolation. It's the interaction between tracks that matter. I'll now play the organ with and without EQ, and you'll notice that we've gotten rid of the muddiness just by cutting. then if I play the drums, bass and organ together, we can hear that there is much more clarity in their interaction with each other. Okay guys, so I hope this was a useful lesson. Feedback is always welcomed, and good luck for the rest of the course, and thanks again.